Hello and welcome to today's challenge. This week's challenge, it is designed to help you align your parenting choices with your parenting vision. Now I call it is not an emergency, so you can call it pause and breathe, or hey, draw the reactivity and pick the response. However you choose to call it, it is designed to help you pause, think, and actually calculate your decisions, your responses, and make sure that they align with your vision. You have a vision for your child, right? Yes, everyone has a vision. It's just like you are embarking on a journey. You don't just go randomly. You don't pick the next vehicle or something. You want to make sure you actually pick the vehicle that leads to your destination, to where you are going to. The same thing happens in visionary parenting. You have a vision already, so you want to make sure that at every given time, every opportunity you have, your parenting choices, your actions are in alliance with your vision. And today I want to share with you a simple trick you can achieve this. And we are having this trick in a 1 week long challenge called Pause and Breathe, or It Is Not an Emergency. So here's a quick story that happened in my house today. Now, one of my visions is to raise children who will not be swayed by what people will say, who will not do things because, oh, my friends are doing it, or people will say generally. I just want to raise kids who will not care about what people will say. So, however, this morning my 6-year-old just finished bathing and he didn't bathe thoroughly. So I was going to bathe him myself. While going back, he was crying. Now, my first impulse was to say to him, it is better you cry and have me bathe you thoroughly so that you are clean and your friends will not laugh at you, than for me to say, oh, because you are crying, I won't bathe you again, and then you are dirty and your friends will start laughing at you. That was my first impulse. But in a split second, I paused and asked myself, my vision is to raise children who will not care about what the world says, what people say actually. So why am I focusing? Why am I going to say so that people will not laugh at you, so that your friends will not laugh at you? So I paused and I called myself back and I told him, I'm going to bathe you again so that we'll get rid of all the germs in your body. Because if you don't bathe well, germs make your body their inhabitants, and then they will start growing and producing and multiplying. So I had to make sure what I was going to say to him actually was in alliance with my vision for him. Now, the truth of the matter is, every single time we behave, our children are there watching us. We are giving them a standard. We are modeling a lifestyle to them. We're actually teaching them. I always say that whether you are teaching deliberately or not, whether you intend to teach or you don't intend to teach, as long as your children are there, they are listening, they are seeing, they are learning. So what do we want to do? Because we actually have a vision, we want to make sure that our choices all of the time align with our vision. Our choices are such that we take our children closer and closer to our vision. Okay, let's talk about how to go about this challenge. It is simply pause and breathe. It means that every single time you have to behave, whether you have to respond to your child, he or she asks you a question, you want to respond, whether you want to act in their presence, whether you want to correct them, whether you even want to attend to other people, because children learn from us generally. Whether you are on the phone, you are walking, or any single thing you want to do, you want to always learn to pause and breathe. Why? So that small time, that little time that passes between the time you are pausing and breathing will be enough for you to calculate what you want to say or what you want to do that thoroughly aligns with the vision you have for them. For example, you want to say something to someone and you actually want to ask yourself, oh, is this the truth? Is this a lie? What am I modeling right now? What am I teaching my children right now? You want to take your time to analyze it. One of the things many parents want, I know a lot of parents, or every parent really wants to raise assertive children. And many times we as parents, are we assertive? No, we don't have boundaries and people just come and encroach and break our boundaries. So when you want to respond for the next 1 week and your kids are there, you usually want to pause and ask yourself, oh, Am I being rude? Am I being assertive, or am I being permissive? What you want your child to learn, what you want to model for them is assertiveness. So your responses have to be assertive responses. Are you getting the picture? So, for example, you want to model patience to your children. So in the face of an event that is pressuring you, you actually want to pause and say, okay, I want to model patience. Am I being patient right now? That is exactly what you do. What happens when your child comes to ask you a question? Yes, again, you want to pause and ask yourself, okay, the answer I am going to give, is it going to align with what I actually want him to learn? It is never an emergency, so there is never a need answering immediately. I say this over and over again to parents in my community. It is never an emergency. There is never a need for you to answer immediately. One of the things that happens is we see situations as emergencies. So when we see it as an emergency, we just jump into answer quickly. And many times you go back to reflect, you realize that the answer you provided doesn't actually align with your vision for your child. So whether your child asks you a question, it's not an emergency. Whether you want to correct your child again, it is not an emergency. It is never an emergency. It is never. I put on Facebook one time that correction is never an emergency, and someone came to be arguing with me, and his point was like, okay, if someone reports your child to you, that your child maybe calls them mean names, you have to discipline or correct at that spot. I said, why? What happens? An emergency actually means that a house is literally burning. Someone is going to get hurt. It's an emergency. Your child calls someone mean names. Hey, no. You go back and ask your child. You don't even have to force your child to apologize or something. You go back and ask your child what happened. There are many reasons your child could have done that. It could be that was how he was being bullied. That was the only way he could defend himself. It could be that he thought it was a fun word to say or something. It could be a great lot of reasons. So it is never an emergency. You let time pass. That time will afford you enough opportunity to think through the situations and come up with an appropriate response that actually aligns with your vision. So this is what the challenge is about this week. So what you need to do in the face of anything at all, as long as your child is there listening to you and seeing you, don't respond immediately. Your child comes to ask you a question, of course, except you know that the question is such that something like, mommy, where is the soap? Okay, the soap is in the jar, something like that. That's understandable. But when they come to ask you questions that you know that, okay, moral questions or questions that may require you to think a bit or explain or expatiate somehow, you need to pause a bit and be able to think it through and be able to make sure that what you want to answer them aligns with what you want them to listen to. Now, let me share a quick example. A couple of days ago, they were showing an advert on TV. The advert is trending. I'm not sure the company, but I know that the lines are, "Choo-choo, my husband, help me take this money to my daughter," something like that. And my daughter asked me, "Mommy, if it's not okay for an adult to call a younger person my husband, my wife, why is this woman that looks like a grandma calling the boy choo-choo, my husband?" That is a kind of question that answering was not automatic for me. Now, it is actually what I have taught them. Nobody has the right to call you my wife or my husband. So when anybody calls you that, don't be comfortable. Don't smile and walk away. Just tell the person, no, I'm not your wife, I'm not your husband. Say it boldly with eye contact, and all of that is what I always teach them. So she asked me that question. What was I supposed to answer? The time I let pass between when the question came up and answering her actually afforded me an opportunity to be able to think it in such a manner that I was able to construct it to actually further explain why it is not everything on TV they should see, they should pick and run with, because television can also be ignorant sometimes. Not everybody is on the same page, so being able to pause and breathe before you respond will better make you able to align your parenting choices with your vision. That is a challenge for the week. Your child asks you a question, you want to correct your child, you want to behave before them, you want to respond to other people before them. Pause and breathe. Pause and breathe. If you feel okay, you are pressured to answer and you don't have the right answer, you can always say, let me think about it, or come back in a minute, let me finish what I'm doing, I'll be with you in a second or something. You can always say things like that, but pause and breathe and calculate your thoughts. Pause and breathe, calculate your thoughts so that you are able to align your parenting choices with your vision. I hope it is clear, it is understood. If it's not clear, please come to the comment section and ask your questions, and I'll be glad to take your questions any day, anytime. Bye for now.